Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. In today's PC gaming news, we're going to be talking about rumors concerning the development hell that has been Grand Theft Auto 6, as well as a Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster to be coming to the PC, as well as the now current generation of consoles. I was going to say current generation of consoles. Also, Battlefield 2042 has got a new trailer confirming that it will have ray tracing as well as other NVIDIA tech, and also we get a look at the system requirements for Call of Duty Vanguard and exactly when you'll be able to play the game, as well as start preloading it later today. But first, today's video is brought to you by SuperCDK.com, where you can save money on games for all of your favorite platforms, as well as software like Windows 10 Pro for just $19.50, and then you can unlock the prestigious dark mode on Windows 10 and take advantage of that. I couldn't live without it. And if you shoot over there right now, you could save 25% off. Hit the buy now button and then put in my code JP25 at checkout. I'll walk you guys through the process right now so you can see how much money we're saving and how to go ahead and install this on your Windows 10 PC. That brings our price down to $14.62, total of savings of almost $5 using that JP25 code, which will work for any software products over there. Once you're done with that, go ahead and click on Submit Order and select your payment mode of choice, which for me personally is PayPal, and then I'll go ahead and complete the checkout by clicking on Pay Now. After completing the checkout, it'll bring you to your purchased order page, and it will update in a matter of seconds, or just go ahead and hit F5. Go ahead and do that one time. It came through literally immediately. I got the payment email that it had gone through and the delivery of the product exactly at the same time. Once you're done with that, go ahead and click on View Keys and Codes, and we'll get our code right here that we can go ahead and copy and paste in on Windows 10 by hitting the Start button and type in the word Activate. When you see that activation settings or see if Windows is activated, go ahead and click on that, and it'll bring up this right here, and click on change your product key or unlock Windows 10. As I already have Windows 10, I obviously don't need to put in a new key, but just paste it in and then go ahead and click next, and you are all done and set. For more information on SuperCDK.com as well as the coupon code, be sure to check out the links down in the description below. First up, let's talk about the rumors concerning Grand Theft Auto 6's development and the hell that it is currently in and has been in for quite some time, especially after the departure of Dan Houser, who was the original creator of Grand Theft Auto and co-founder of Rockstar Games, as well as we've also got information on the Red Dead Redemption Remaster coming to PC and current-gen consoles. So the sources of this rumor are Rockstar Mag's Chris. Rockstar Mag is a French website that is primarily dedicated to discussing games from the Rockstar universe. It's rockstarmag.fr, as it is a French website. And the person behind this is very reliable in the past, has been proven to be reliable in the past regarding rumors, leaks, and other stuff like that, as he's got a lot of inside information within Rockstar Games themselves. So according to Chris and over on DSOG, Grand Theft Auto 6 is currently in development hell. Rockstar has restarted its development after Dan Houser left the company in 2020. Not only that, but Take-Two was originally planning to announce the game last year. They also say that Rockstar has changed the story and other game elements too many times since 2019, and from the looks of it, GTA 6 is the most chaotic project that Rockstar has ever developed. So obviously, with the departure last year of Dan Houser, there was already a lot of concerns being raised about Grand Theft Auto 6, and it's been quite some time since GTA 5 came out. Actually, I should have looked this up beforehand, but I think it was 2013, maybe? Yeah, September of 2013 is back when the initial game came out. So this is 8 years now since GTA 5. I believe this is the longest gap we've ever had without a Grand Theft Auto game. And obviously, the development process and Dan Houser has not helped that process at all. But another large reason why I think we've seen such a large gap is because GTA Online has been doing so well, and it still is doing so well, taking in probably close to $1 billion. I know it's taken in billions over time, and it's taking in hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. Just from the GTA Online, which has been, obviously, it came out initially on like the 360 and PS3. They brought it to the PS4 and now PS5 people are playing it. PC eventually got the game and all that. So GTA Online has been around like forever, and it just keeps on evolving over time, and they're making tons of money off of it. So it's honestly almost crazy for them to even think about just sort of ditching that and going with a new Grand Theft Auto game, which is probably a large part why we've waited so long to get a new Grand Theft Auto game. And Red Dead Redemption's Online has been very underwhelming, broken economy since day one, and just not a lot of people playing it in comparison to GTA Online. But they're still pushing forward, obviously, trying to get out of Grand Theft Auto 6 without Dan Houser at the helm. And I'm definitely concerned to see, how the game is going to come out, as you would think they're going to primarily focus on the online portion of it, and that would really suck, because I've always loved the Grand Theft Auto games for their story, going back to GTA 3, where the story sort of took off and has just gotten bigger and better over time, really, in my personal opinion, although I know some people like the older games a little bit more. I love GTA 4 and GTA 5, and the narrative and the story and the characters and everything, and the direction that the games have gone over the years, and that extends to Red Dead as well. But hopefully it can come out sooner rather than later, but it seems like it's going to be quite some time before we see GTA 6, but maybe we'll get an announcement in 2022. Concerning Red Dead Redemption Remastered, Chris claimed that Rockstar is working on a Red Dead Redemption remaster, and he also said that the remaster will be similar to the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, which will be coming out on November 11th. In other words, it won't just be a up-resed version of the game, which would still probably look great even though as old as it is. Definitely not as old as the original GTA trilogy, so that game still holds up pretty well visually, but it sounds like they're going to do a little bit more than just up-resing it. If you think of the Definitive Edition and how they've added in some new assets and enhanced, shadows, lighting, and things along those lines, it would seem that the Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster is going to get the same things, and, that's all well and good to hear. But even more importantly, this would mean the very first time that Red Dead Redemption 1 has released on PC, which is obviously going to be amazing for a lot of PC gamers that have never gotten a chance to play the original Red Dead, which was one of the best games I've ever played. I would say Red Dead 2 is maybe a little bit better in terms of its story, and stuff and characters, but they're both amazing. But Red Dead 2 did just kind of take it to the next level, and it was a great sequel. But I would love to be able to revisit this game on a remaster for the PC, as well as maybe even on PS5. Red Dead Redemption 1 was awesome. Even the original Red Dead Revolver, way back in the day, was also a pretty great game, and that was actually Rockstar as well, with, I believe, Capcom was initially behind that, but Rockstar did end up developing it. Moving on, though, Battlefield 2042 yesterday got a new trailer from NVIDIA, actually featuring some of the technology that's going to be in the game. Now, we've already known up until now that NVIDIA DLSS was going to be in Battlefield 2042, but yesterday confirmed that it will also feature ray tracing as well as NVIDIA's Reflex to help reduce latency. Now, unfortunately, they're not going all out with the ray tracing. I do wish they would have brought in reflections and stuff like that, but it seems like they're only going to be doing ray-traced ambient occlusion, which is kind of a bit meh. And in a only online shooter that has no single-player portion whatsoever, and, in a competitive first-person shooter, I can't imagine too many people wanting to run around playing with ray tracing on all of the time, especially with the impact it can have on performance and getting high frame rates, and also just reducing clutter on the screen to improve your visuals so you can find your targets and, easier in a competitive shooter, are going to definitely take precedent over having, nice graphical features turned on, like ray tracing. But for someone like me, I do like the nice pretty stuff. I do like turning up Battlefield games, even though it probably puts me at a competitive disadvantage. And, I'll definitely try out with the ray traced ambient occlusion, DLSS, and all that stuff. I'll be testing it day one, of course. But I still have my concerns about 2042 and the performance, as I discussed previously, with DirectX 12 and the implementation of that from DICE, which has just never been good. And of course, with this game, if it doesn't have DX11, which it sounds like it's not going to, then you'll need to use DX12 anyway, but you would have to use it for the ray tracing if they did it the same way that they did with Battlefield 5. So there you have it. It's going to have ambient occlusion and DLSS. DLSS is definitely something that I welcome to be into the game to help boost performance, but I'm still worried about the DX12 and the performance with that. Before we get out of here, Call of Duty Vanguard, which will be coming out this Friday, you can actually start preloading it later today at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. You'll be able to... Sorry, I was looking at the release time for the game. So you'll be able to preload it later today from 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, I was right initially. But the release time is actually going to be this Thursday evening if you're on the West Coast here in the United States. So 9 p.m. Pacific or midnight Eastern time, November 4th, which is 4 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time over in the UK. So that would be November 5th. Friday is the official release date. But I guess if you're on the west coast of the U.S. out in California or something, you'll technically be able to play it at 9 p.m. on the 4th. So that's when it's coming out. But we've also got the system requirements just a few days prior to the game coming out. And thankfully, it's not going to be complete ass rape on your system's storage drive, as they've definitely cut it down compared to recent Call of Duty games, which were taking up over 100 gigabytes. So yeah, we've got quite a few different system requirements here. They got minimum, recommended, competitive, as well as ultra, which is going to be quite demanding, as it is going to have NVIDIA ray tracing stuff. They also did confirm that it's going to have DLSS and AMD FSR. So nice that we'll have both of those technologies in there and be able to compare them and see which one is doing better. But on the minimum requirements for the CPU, they're saying an i3 4340 or an FX 6300, 8 gigabytes of system memory, and for the GPU, a GTX 960 or an RX 470, and only 36 gigabytes of storage for the minimum requirement. So that would lead me to believe there's going to be some type of texture pack or something along those lines, as when we go over to the recommended, the storage amount actually jumps up to 61 gigabytes, and on the CPU, an i5 2500K, good old Sandy Bridge, or a Ryzen 5 1600X, 12 gigabytes of system memory, a GTX 1060, or an RX 580. So fairly reasonable specs to be able to probably power this game at 1080p, 60 frames per second, as Call of Duty games generally do run pretty well, even on middle level hardware. For their competitive specs, whatever the hell that means, I'm guessing that's like 1440p, maybe like ultra settings or high settings. They're saying an i7 8700K, Ryzen 7 1800X, 16 gigabytes of RAM, along with a GTX 2070 or an RX 5700 XT. And just like the recommended, the storage size does not change here, or for the Ultra at 61 gigabytes. For the Ultra requirements, they say a 9900K, Old Faithful, that I still got running in my system today, Ryzen 9 3900X, 16 gigabytes of system RAM, just like the competitive settings, and for the GPU, an RTX 3080 or an RX 6800 XT with a 10 gigabyte minimum requirement there for the Ultra. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Ultra is probably targeting ray tracing 4K. That's probably what that's going after, even though they don't really define it here. I would say that that's ray tracing 4K, maxed out, all that stuff, and probably still using DLSS, while competitive is likely your 1440p. Recommended is like 1080p high ultra settings, 60 frames per second, and the minimum requirement will probably just get you in the door at 1080p, maybe medium settings, and mostly around 60 FPS. 960 and 470 still hold up pretty well, honestly, even in 2021 in a game like Call of Duty, which isn't super graphically demanding until you get into the higher resolutions and the ray tracing and all that stuff. So that's all I've got for you guys today in the world of PC gaming news. I'm going to get out of here. Please let me know your thoughts, opinions, comments below. As always, I love reading through those and interacting with you guys, and I will catch you next time for another video.